Hello. So yeah, welcome to today's after church tea time. Today we are here to discuss the sermon by Rencio and Alexandra on how to cultivate a joyful life. Today we are here. I'm Jose. This is Michaela, and we are here today with Lien and Jenny to discuss the Sunday service. So yeah, I think we can start saying that we really loved the service today because all the things that Lau and Alex were sharing that they were moving through, we moved through literally the same things. We were moving through the same inner union. So we have a lot to share there. So yeah, what was your major takeaway?
Well, I mean, there's a lot, but yeah, I think it was really cool. And Alexandra started talking about how she would, like she has a very great life, nothing to really be upset about. She'd be going through her day, living her purpose, and then suddenly she would just feel bad. And I've been working through that too, especially for us since getting back from Sedona, where we experienced like a new level of joy, and then coming back and like realizing like that's within me, it doesn't come from like the experience in Sedona. So I feel like I've been moving through like releasing sadness and releasing like heaviness and depression and everything like that, and just letting that go and choosing a new level of joy. So I felt that this sermon was very like timely. Yeah. What did you guys think about it?
Yeah, I agree. It was very timely for me too. One of the biggest things I'm working through right now is that safety and feeling safe, facing my walls, facing my fears, safe in bringing them down and opening up to greater intimacy, greater love. And what that really has looked like for me is in honesty, like getting honest with myself, being honest and being able to, in what I share, in when I share and how I share, and if I do or not, right? And that's been really a giant lesson for me so recently. And I love their sermon that it's okay to take down those walls. It's okay to be safe and to use that discernment of when and where, and that we are safe in this community. And in that process, we do come up against traumas. That's exactly what I've been experiencing too. And MAP is just the perfect thing for that. And yeah, and it just fit very perfectly with what I've been experiencing in my own heart. And I was just like, oh, this is perfect. It's exactly what I needed to hear. It felt very relieving and very comforting to relax into that safety and to relax into the healing and relax into the process, and to really trust that God is in everything and that our safety is really in God, and we can be secure in that.
Yeah, I resonate a lot as well, and especially the wall thing, because I've been working a lot on boundaries, and maybe too much, so I didn't experience the joy. Now I'm like, oh right, that's why. And I loved especially the part about our union, like as twin flames, you don't need so much walls. It's not logical to not open up to each other, and it was very relieving to me as well that there's at least one person completely safe to open up to. So yeah, I love that as well.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, what we've been learning too is that like joy really is a choice, like you could have everything in the world, and like ego, if you listen to that voice, will still give you a reason to feel bad. And yeah, like it's about having boundaries with that voice, but not having boundaries to the point that you like shut joy out and you shut love out, like that's different. Then that's like it's like being over cautious, or like I don't know, hyper vigilant. Like I think it's really nice that you can, like, it's really just a matter of like allowing in the love and allowing in the joy, and not yeah, like the only reason that we feel, you know, misery or like depression or sadness is just like attaching to something that doesn't feel good, you know, just attaching to something that's not even true. So you just let that go and love naturally enters. And like, yeah, it's a choice that you make all the time to be joyful, no matter what. Like, no matter what challenge you're going through or what's going on in your life, you can be joyful because, yeah, it's how we're created to like share in joy, you know, be joyful.
Yeah, yeah, I love that part. It's very empowering to know that, you know, it's your choice. Nothing is going to come and make you happy. You can be happy now, and you can be happy in every point on your journey. And I also love this part about boundaries because this happened to me too. Recently, I was healing that in Sedona, for example, where Alexandra was saying that maybe in the past that boundary or that pattern or, you know, the wall basically was serving you for something, was preventing you from being abused or from being like hurt in any way. And I moved through this actually in Sedona, you know, in the first day. It was like my first time meeting like more community members in person, like hanging out with them. And what happened to me the first day, I realized that I was putting a lot of walls inside of me. I was like defending myself.
You're like becoming antisocial.
I was becoming like,
like
putting walls. It was like a pattern. And I was like, oof, this is terrible. This is very bad. And yeah, after moving through that, like I realized that that wall was there for a reason.
Yeah, Chrissy.
Yeah, Chrissy helped me a lot with this.
So shout out to Matt.
Yeah, shout out to Matt.
Yeah, it was like a trauma that you had healed.
Basically, as I moved through Matt. Yeah, and I realized that that wall was there for preventing myself from being abused in the past. But in this situation, that everyone was loving me, everyone was like, you know, loving, and I was safe. That wall was preventing the joy, the closeness, the connection, and that was feeling very bad. So I just made the new choice. I moved through it, and that allowed me to really enjoy Sedona, enjoy connecting with others,
open
up, and finally letting love in this time to that space. And it is very healing to open up in that way, very vulnerable. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I love that. And what that brings up for me, I've experienced very much the same thing, also in Sedona too. And what I've come to realize is that as we do the healing and we come to those realizations, even if we don't quite see it yet, that those patterns, that those behaviors, that resistance that used to protect us in some way from abuse or from you know, things that we needed boundaries against, that as we heal and those walls are no longer needed, they're no longer protecting us, it takes an incredible amount of energy to hold on to those patterns and to keep those walls up. And all of this energy that could be used for creating or could be used for loving and serving and healing, that it's just being sucked into those walls. And by taking that power back, we release so much energy that can then be put to such greater use.
Yeah, it's so true. It's very expensive to have that because you are like basically avoiding your happiness, avoiding your joy.
And life force.
And life force, like you get depleted. But yeah, once you open up again, it's very refreshing. You come alive. It's very healing.
Yeah, I love that. He said also, like, yeah, you only create with God, and if you release all of these walls, you can create with God, and you can create really a lot of, the life you desire, because you're choosing your joy and happiness, and you can only create the life from you desire from that place, and not from the place of like shutting off. And then you create a life. Yeah, you don't create your life, right?
Yes. And yes. Oh, and such a giant part, I feel, of creating that life with God is being able to embrace your desires, embrace what God is showing you, and what is, you know, the joy that is there in front of you to move with, create with, love with.
Yeah, I think that was another beautiful part of the sermon that I really liked, where Alexandra was saying that, yeah, when you are creating with God, you can be happy every step of the way. It's not only when you have, you know, everything or you achieve your goals, like every step can be joyful. It's a choice to enjoy the journey and to enjoy that creation. And that is what gives meaning to everything. It's like enjoying the path, the journey, having fun with it. Because this is something that Jeff speaks a lot in life purpose class. If you are miserable all the way, it's not rewarding when you get there because you have been sacrificing. But if you are creating with God, it's so much easier. You are happy on it. Is so much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you're so much more open to seeing the beauty of God in all the things, all the little details, the tiny, subtle love taps from God, right? In all the places and all of your life and all the people that come in. And when we're open to that, then we get to enjoy it and we get to appreciate it more and have more gratitude and just bring in more of that.
Yeah, I think this is like coming up after Sedona because the whole community felt it. Like even those who weren't able to make it physically to Sedona, like I think the whole community felt this joy and like lightness, and it's a feeling of heaven on earth, and we definitely felt it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Jeff shared, like that's that's their natural. That's where they live. Is in that heaven, that joy. And so I think like coming back and everyone, the workshop kind of like settling down, like everyone's becoming aware of where that joy like needs to be cultivated within. We have to do it for ourselves. So I think I've been like ultra aware of where I wasn't choosing joy, which is something that Alexandra also said in the sermon, that she didn't realize that she was unconsciously, but actively choosing to shut the joy out and to push it away. And so I think I've realized that too. And it's like, it's like overcoming the misery and the illusion that it's like hard to be happy, or you have to have some reason to be happy, or you need to achieve some goal in order to have happiness and joy, but you don't. Like that's the illusion. Like you have the joy now. And that joy is what attracts to you the thing that you actually want, the thing that you feel like you can't be happy until you have it. Well, it's like, the secret is like you have to feel good first. And then I just watched a class where Jeff said like something he was calling like the thing you want. He was talking about harmonious union. He called it a cookie. And he said, you don't get happy after you get the cookie, like you get happy and then the cookie flies into your mouth. So I thought it was like a funny way of Jeff describing like, yeah, like you get happy, you become joyful, and then everything flows to you. Your abundance, your wealth, your harmonious union, your twin flame, like deeper romance and a relationship. So yeah, like joy is a choice in every moment.
Yeah, the process of achieving it is the beautiful part. Like, for example, something that I love about upgrading our life is doing it like one step at a time, like improving things. Like, because people have this like this belief that when you get the final dream, you are happy. Like, yeah,
it's always in the future.
It's always in the future. But they don't enjoy the little moments. Like, for example, when you move to a new place, yeah, you are going to upgrade. Enjoy that upgrade. It's not the final one, but enjoy also buying the new things for this place. And enjoy upgrading your chairs or your, office, or these little things that gives you joy. It's not only about the big final thing. It's about every step to grow that joy. If you don't grow in joy, you're not going to manifest the final thing,
Yeah.
And it's going to feel very empty.
Yeah. That's something Jeff talks about in life purpose class too, is like God won't give you more if you're miserable now, because having more is it amplifies your energy. Like it's giving you more energy. So if you're miserable, like God's not going to send you more and make you more miserable. So that's why happiness is so important. It like, it lets go, or it like, it allows your good to just flow to you. Yeah.
And I feel like the happier you are, the more joyful you are, the more you connect to that happiness inside, the more effort you're able to give and to put towards, I guess, what am I trying to say? The less it feels like effort, you know, like the easier it feels to be able to do the things that cultivate more joy and take the actions that allow you to create and serve.
Yeah, it's true. You receive more energy, like more life force energy. Because it's like you're able to hold that and invest it and not leak away your joy.
Yeah, and God usually gives more of what you feel happiest with. I found I am happy with it, and then God gives you more of that because so you can keep doing that. Because He only wants you to be happy, so you're always supported in that.
Yeah, that's an amazing tip or like advice. I remember when we in one of the first life purpose classes where Jeff is explaining this, like God has to have a reason to give you more. Like, you need to have fun with God. Like if God is not having fun investing into something, he's not going to. You need to be joyful and make, God happy and joyful by investing into you and investing in what you're doing. And I remember we used that because we were like having like only a small vision of our life, not very joyful, just the basics and survival in a way. We were looking at our life and our finances like that. And after the class,
kind of short term,
short term. And Jeff in the class was like, no, go with everything. Like, be clear on what you want, have that expansion, that constant like vision for your life, joy, like pursue happiness, what you really desire. And I remember after doing that, after watching the class, we started to, okay, actually, this is nothing. We want this and we want that, and we want to have this and cultivate that. And everything started to move faster and to move so much more like, I don't know, effortless. It was so easy to grow, to continue growing in our expansion, and to be more happy and to improve, everything, improving in our life because we were moving that energy. We were really inviting God to, do happy things, do, amazing things in our life. And God provided everything that we needed to move forward because we really chose it. We chose it to align with the happy vision of God for our life, and God provided that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and allowing that to evolve, as we do, as we grow and change and shift.
Yep. And I guess like what keeps coming up for me is just like, again, like reinforcing that it is a choice to do that, like this work, it gives you all of the keys to be able to like be joyful all the time. Like that's something definitely I talk about is you never have to actually feel bad. Like you don't have to feel bad. Like you can feel your upsets, you can feel challenges, but you don't have to like sit in the bad feeling. And that's what I was really getting from the sermon today is like, like that's going to come up. You're going to have your challenges. That's part of the journey, but you don't have to suffer for them. Like you don't have to be miserable, because I feel like misery is just like feeding the upset or feeding the bad feeling, sitting in it, growing it, attaching to it. But joy is just like, it's not hard. Like it is the most natural thing. And so, just letting go of that attachment. And joy really does grow. And like it's true, like what you said earlier, Jenny, that when you let go of resistance, like it's easier to keep doing the thing, that brings you joy. Like you do receive more energy and more purpose, and you're able to grow a lot. And then, naturally you're gonna attract more money and more abundance and wealth because that's, like God wants to invest in you when you're joyful, and when you're having fun, because it means God's having fun, but He won't if you're not having fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's also something that Alexandra mentioned about give your gift freely, like don't be afraid, don't resist it. And that is really like true and amazing because when you are not really afraid of it and you just give your gift, there is a lot of joy into that. When you are really like giving it freely, you are really having a good time, you are like riding the wave, you are in that momentum. It gives you a lot of satisfaction, a lot of joy, and you're cultivating that happiness within, because you are fulfilling your function, doing your purpose, and that is very satisfying and enriching for yourself.
Yeah, I liked when Laurentiu said, like, if you have like promised to do something and you're supposed to do it and it's in alignment with your purpose and you have the time and space for it, and then like the time comes and you don't want to do it, then it's like he said, like, just it's okay, you probably have a block to giving and to like expressing yourself, and just to like sit through that and like work through it, and then maybe see if you have any walls that you're holding on to that are preventing you from expressing yourself and receiving joy. Because if you're giving of yourself and you're like truly expressing yourself, you're going to receive that back. So it's okay to do that, and it's okay to work through that. I really liked that part.
Me too. Very pertinent for me in my expression. Oh, for sure. Yeah. To feel free to express and really see expressing authentically and honestly all the things as this dance and this play with God, because God wants us to open up and see who we are and what we've got inside and what we have to give. Like it's joyful all around, and it's joyful for everyone who receives that, everyone who's meant to, who comes into your realm, your life, to receive your gift. It's a blessing all around.
Yeah, and people receive from that when you do that. Like when you are giving your gift, like you're actually giving them joy too, like you're sharing your joy with them. So it's like valuable, for you to express yourself. So that's part of like it is like knowing that you will have that like a lot of value to give and to share, and like people want to receive that. I think that's a big part of like that block, is not properly valuing yourself or seeing your value. And like that can also be a huge preventer of joy, because like joy is not meant to be experienced alone. Like it's meant to be experienced with all of the children of God. So others have to be included. I think Jeff and Shaleia talk about that in the classes or somewhere, where they say like you're not meant to have joy alone. It's like meant to be shared.
It was after Sedona or in Sedona, I think.
Maybe, I think so.
Yeah, they were saying how important it is to basically share that with your brother in God, and how important it is to have it all together, because when you are setting into that joy, like you can really like grow and ascend. But when you separate yourself, you
cut yourself off.
You cut yourself off, and you experience separation, and you experience like feeling bad
and emotional, like
emotionally bad.
Well, you can start developing like emotional, what did Jeff say, like in the last class or somewhere, he said like when you cut yourself off and a child of God is isolated and you just like you're out in just desolation, not with anyone, you develop like emotional issues and emotional and psychological like
because we are meant to be social and with others, and meant to share. It's not supposed to be like the lonely wolf in a way. It's not how it works with God. It's supposed to be like community and family, and being together. Communion.
Yeah, that was one of the big lessons for me throughout the Sedona trip and all of that, because a lot of my old patterns and tendencies would be to, oh, I've hit some challenge, okay, let me go off and figure it out for myself. It was always the first reaction is to like, okay, well, fine, I'll just handle it, I'll just do it myself, or I'll just go off on my own. And throughout the trip between like Mexico and Sedona and into road trip into Tennessee to come home, like throughout the whole thing, it was this constant new choice of, okay, first instinct's not gonna be to go by myself. Recognizing when that happens, recognizing when I still have, I guess, fallout from making that choice in the past, and then making a new choice and taking a new route, and ending up spending more time and more love and connection with our spiritual family, you know, and our community, and going deeper into that relationship.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like opening up with your community, because it's a safe space to share that. And yeah, I think Alexandra mentioned something about this, like it's safe to open up and receive support when you need it. And I think that happens a lot. It's like thinking that you are alone moving through the stuff, but because you don't share it, because you don't ask for support, you don't know if someone is moving through it. You don't receive the support from those that has already moved through it, because that's a lesson that is being reinforced to us today in the sermon. Like they were moving through very similar lessons,
almost the same thing.
Almost the same, and we were like, oh.
Yeah, it was very healing.
Yeah, it's like it's not alone, and this is how you work. That is being one with others. You are moving through the similar stuff, and yeah, something that Jeff also shared with us is how easy it was to move through inner work in Sedona, because everyone was doing it, and you could like share with others, and they were moving through the same, or oh, I know this, or I know that, or I did this, or the power of community, because you can receive all the perspectives. You can receive like God's support through whatever person, and that is invaluable.
Yeah, and he said that because everyone's doing the work, like it's easier for everyone just to stay in that space of doing the work. Like it was easier to work through blocks, and like twin flame couples and unions and harmonious unions that were there were actually like more harmonious. Like I felt that too. There's so much more support, so it's just easier. So yeah, it's a part of joy. It's like sharing.
Yeah, and I found that in coming home into environments where we're not surrounded by people in the work and doing the work, is that I got caught in that first few, first little tendencies, or feeling that pull into how the way my life was before I left for the trip was calling me back in. And it's like, okay, I have to recognize this now, and recognize the places where, oh, things from my life, either the environment, the stuff, whatever it is, doesn't feel good anymore. And really addressing that in the new space in order to keep that feeling, that's there, that's always there. And the way to use that momentum to cultivate by making the changes that don't feel right coming back home, and recognizing that. And or even if you weren't in Sedona, and whatever feelings and new things that came up, to really embrace those and work with them in your environment to change what needs to be changed, to change what doesn't feel good anymore after the healing and after the shifts, and to keep it going. Into more joy.
Like, Leanne, do you have anything you want to share? I feel like
not really. I resonated a lot what you shared. Yeah.
Anything more to share?
Well, actually, I have something that Shaleia had told me in Sedona about our relationship, and it was just like such a gift. It was like related to this wall thing.
Yeah.
And how like you shut out love, because like we tend to, because it keeps you safe in the past. Well, she had told me that like I didn't realize how much Jose loved me, and that I was still working through like a fight or flight type thing. And she said she still works through that with Jeff. It's just like knowing that you're safe in a relationship with your twin flame. And I don't know, like something just really clicked in me when she said that, and it like really helped us. Like it was such a gift when she shared that it was like, I think part of me was still, I definitely that fight or flight instinct.
Yeah.
Where I would, see like Jose's discipline as him picking at me, or, I get upset, or, just, I don't know, like just relaxing into the fact that like I'm actually loved was really nice. And I think everyone can do that with their own twin flames. Like your twin flame is not the past relationships you had. Your twin flame is not like abusive relationships you had, or like friendships or family relationships. Your twin flame actually loves you, and it's safe to like relax into that love, and it's safe to receive it and not shut it out, which is something that Laurentri and Alexandra remembered. Yeah, I see. Alexandra did this emoji in the chat. Yeah, it reminded me of what they shared in the sermon, that it's safe to open up with your twin flame, even if you're not even communicating with them or wherever you're at with them. Like, you can do that in your heart. You don't have to shut them out, or it's okay to be vulnerable. Yeah. What did you experience then?
When Shaleia told you that? Yeah, it really felt like that. I don't know how to explain this, but yeah, I feel very blessed because that is so true. It's like, but I mean, it happens to me too. Like sometimes, like if in the past you had like bad relationships or were abused in some way, you have a lot of defenses against that. You have a lot of triggers that are going to come up in your twin flame, even if nothing is happening in your union, even if there is
on the outside.
Yeah, and on the outside, you still project those things, and it is safe to move through them. And yeah, relaxing into that inner safe space that is your union. Because I remember this happened to me also at the beginning of our relationship, and I still move through it sometimes. It's like, can I share this? Or can I open up here? This is a very, vulnerable place. Can I open up? But yeah, all of those fears come up of like, oof, they are going to abuse you, you're going to be hurt, but it's not the case anytime. I'm always loved in that area. And yeah, it's about cultivating that in your union, cultivating that safe space, compassion, vulnerability, and that gives you a lot of connection.
And joy.
And joy, yeah. Because you are safe, you can move through whatever you want. And that is the container that you have with God. It's like God is not going to judge you, God is not going to abuse you. You can open up and receive the healing, receive the support. And yeah, what moves through your union, you have that safe space within. And yeah, it's safe to surrender
and receive it.
Yeah, I've experienced a few times and was very vulnerable. I was scared, oh no, it's the same thing happened, but I was always answered with love, and completely different. I used to experience with other people. So yeah, it's really safe. It feels also really freeing to experience that. We just be vulnerable and go into that place.
Yeah, I feel like like your twin flame union and your relationship with God, and just like your relationship with joy, they're all very similar in the way that, obviously they're all the same, but like that you can relax and trust that it's real, like you can relax and trust that the joy is real, that God actually loves you, that hell is an illusion, like you don't have to suffer, you can trust it to be real and eternal. That was what I was learning with Shaleia's comment, is that it's safe to just relax and let down the walls and just, let go of an old way of being that is kind of like, defensive, and you're just trying to not be hurt, and therefore you like block out all the good too, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah, and it's us who blocks the joy and the love. Like, it's not God that is not giving it to us, or love is disappeared in this space. This is that Jeff said in Sedona: if you're not experiencing joy and love
in every moment,
there is something wrong, there is something to look at, there is a block. And yeah, it's safe to go and see what's going on. What is avoiding love from entering? Are you afraid? There is fear, there is a block, or what is going on inside, and you can look at it and open again to receive that love. Because there is a lot of spaces that you encounter in this journey where you are like, oops, I wasn't letting God in, or I wasn't allowing myself to receive, or I didn't feel like this or like that. And it's your choice to not receive it, but you can make the new choice and you can open up again. And the more you do it, the safer you feel, the more trust you build, and it's very beautiful.
Yeah, like what Jeff said was like, if you're not experiencing joy pouring forth from your heart in every moment, then something is wrong. And that was just nice, like, because I felt like I just had permission in that moment to just be happy, you know, and not, you know, because we live in a world that, like, you know, doesn't actually reward happiness, and people actually want to take that from you, and, you know, it doesn't feel safe to be happy all the time. It's not, and almost no one is happy all the time.
Yeah, most of them attached to misery. A lot of people, they live by that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but Jeff, in that moment, I felt like it was just like, oh, like, it's okay to just feel good. It doesn't matter what everyone else feels in the world. You don't help anyone by also being miserable, or yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you help them by being the example. And yeah, I think it's something that also, like Danny mentioned or Christina in the intro or something. But yeah, the word is used to that. You know, and you can see this, for example, in people. You know, I don't know, for example, in the workspace, connecting only on how terrible is the job, or how much they hate it, or how terrible is their life, or, you know, is connecting on misery, and you don't see anyone really connecting on love, or like, I love this, I'm building my dream, I'm working hard for this, I'm investing into something, I'm growing, I'm doing this. You don't really see that energy. It's more like an attachment to suffering or to struggle, basically. But yeah, this teaching shows you how that is not the way. You don't get really anything, but it's when you're happy that you really have a life. Like, it's a choice. It's a choice. Which side do you want to be? Attaching to happiness, not attaching, but choosing happiness, or attaching to misery? And it's on you only.
Yes, in my country, it's very common that people complain about everything, even especially the juggle things, and yeah, that feels really bad. It feels, I always feel this desire to connect over, love and joy, and go deeper in that.
Feels much better.
Much better.
It's better because the other person is also giving, is not trying to take, in a way. You know, because that energy is very, very heavy and they invite you to join. But when, you have relationships where everyone is like satisfied inside, it's like happy, you know, you're sharing that happiness and you grow. And that relationship really have a space to, you know, go deeper and grow and evolve and transform. But yeah, it's connecting only on God, not connecting on the block, because you cannot really. It's only like feeding it, and it feels bad. It's taking your energy. It's taking from you.
Yeah, and it's the joy and the peace that's lasting. And when you build your connection on that, then it's lasting.
Yeah, that's true. That's something Laurentiu said too. It just, you know, that reminded me that he said, like, if you don't build it, whatever it is with God, even your, you know, money, your twin flame union, your house or a job, if you don't do that with God, it's not gonna stay in your life forever.
It's very empty.
It's not permanent, you know, like
it will
go away.
Collapse. Yeah.
But yeah, whatever you do build with God on joy, like a foundation of joy and like love, and it stays and it grows, you know, forever, including friendships and relationships and your harmonious union and your life purpose. Like, it can grow forever.
Yeah. And I also feel like in that joy and in that love, then the upsets and the challenges, they are easier to move through. It's like this container for those to feel and move and flow, as opposed to when you're choosing in the misery, then the upsets and the challenges compound that.
Yeah, it's true. Like, you don't have to let an upset drain the life out of you. Like, you don't have to leave your joy to work through an upset or do the inner work.
Yeah, this is something that Jeff said once. It's like, if you abandon all of your joy, what do you do when you enter to the upset? You know, like, bring your joy with you, bring your happiness with you. In that way, healing is so easy, because you are bringing so much happiness that sadness is going away, or that misery is going away, because you have, like, you know, that.
Yeah, it's like a.
It's not that
well,
you
it's
have
like your
your
foundation,
happiness.
you know, that helps you work through things and do the work. So, and that's something Jeff says all the time, is like, the whole purpose of this work is joy. So if you're not if it's not increasing your joy, like
There's something
why
to
do
look
it?
at.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
If you're complete.
Yeah, do you guys have anything, any insights or anything else you'd like to share? Yeah, I feel pretty complete too. It was a great sermon, very like perfectly timed. Thank you to Lorenzo and Alexandra for that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for watching and for joining us today. And yeah, we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.